Hello everyone, this is Ted Fletcher with FMS Integration. I wanted to go over and show an example of when you have to set up communications to the Bentek SCADALink RIO900 radios. So first off, what you need to do is you need to have the radios connected up together. Next, you want to connect 24 volt DC power to the main radio. Ideally, you want it to be fused. And then last would be connecting a straight through style serial cable to the DB9 shell or RS232 port on the top of that main radio. So first thing you want to do, if you haven't done it already, is you want to go on to the Bentek's website, which is scadalink.com. You want to go to the products, SCADALink series, RIO series, RIO900 wireless IO. Once you're onto that page, if you go about halfway down, you'll see underneath downloads the SCADALink RIO900 GUI. So you want to download that and get that installed on your machine, whether it's a PC or laptop. Once you have that downloaded, I have a shortcut on my desktop. You just want to double left click on that icon. Once it opens, even though this is open, we're not talking to the radio, so first thing we need to do is establish a connection. So by establishing the connection, come up to Device, left click, come to Connection Settings. Here you'll see the RIO ID, Direct Connect. The critical is the PC port. Virtually no PC or laptop comes with a dedicated serial port anymore, so you're using a USB to 232 adapter, typically in order to establish communications to those type of devices. So here I can see I have a few different COM ports listed out, but you want to identify the correct one. If you don't happen to know which port on your machine is identified, what you can do is come down to the Device Manager by left clicking inside the search, start typing in device. You'll see Device Manager pulls up. So here we're going to click on Open. We're going to scroll down through. When you come to ports, COM and LPT, you want to expand that. And we can see up at the top that I have my USB to serial bridge, which is identified as COM8. And then we have the other three COM ports being called out. Now again, if you're not sure, all you have to do is unplug that USB to 232 adapter. That'll refresh. Then if we scroll back down, now that we see COM 1, 4, 5. So COM8 went away. So here I'm going to plug back in. It refreshes. Now we can see the USB to serial bridge is back in place, being identified as COM8. So COM8 is the one we want to use. So leave COM8 selected, and then by default, that RS232 on the top of the main radio is set to 9600, 8, none, 1. Leave timeout set to 1000. Retry count you can leave set to 3. Click on OK. Now that we have those changes confirmed, or I should say those communication settings confirmed, we want to come to Device, Read Config, left click. You'll see this dialog open up as far as for read configuration. So we want to read that data out from our radio. So here we'll just left click on Start. Takes a few seconds typically to initiate, but then once it does, you see it starts going through the process. So now we're actually reading that configuration data out from that radio. So once we have that config data right in place, we can make all the appropriate changes to the configuration, and then we'll write that back to the radio. So that has been completed. Once completed, that little box will just drop off. So now we can come inside and we can update as far as like site name on the radio, any other settings we want to change. Here you can see I'm using encryption on my radios. Then come down to the serial, which I use 57600. So I'd already gone through and set up and configured these, but this is where you can make the appropriate changes depending on what you're doing. Modbus slave, IO bus power, IO broadcast, where I identified my slave IO being hooked onto that main radio, which is a drop-down list that you can select that Bentek has set up. Failsafe, relay operation, And then you even have a local diagnostics. You can see coming across on the bottom, you can see your input voltage, the temperature in Celsius, the communication status, the condition of the relay, and then the signal strength coming through. And then you can always click on refresh if you wanted to update those settings. So once we have everything changed and we want to re-upload to the radio, all you have to do is come back up to the device, left click, come down to right config, left click. It'll open up a similar dialog asking to write that configuration. Then it's just a matter of left clicking on start, which takes about the same process. One of the things to keep in mind anytime that you are updating the radios, whether it's configuration change, a firmware update, as soon as you start reading data out or writing data back, the unit will go offline. So you will get communication alarms potentially to your monitoring system, depending on how long it takes to trigger a communication or device alarm. Once done, it reboots, and now we have our radio set up and configured. These radios are excellent for different wireless I/O solutions throughout the industries. Also a great option if you wanted to pick up smart Modbus RTU devices and wire that serial connection back into the slave units to be able to read that data off. We know not all applications are the same, so if you got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave it in the video. If you want to contact us directly to discuss an application, please feel free to reach out and contact us at fmssi.com. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.